Welcome to Hammer and Nails with Skip and Alison Bedell.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hammer and Nails Podcast. I'm Skip Bedell.
I'm Alison Bedell.
And you are, whoever you are. Thanks for coming back.
I was going to say that a little bit louder, but I realized that I might blow out people's ears.
Yeah, don't blow anybody out.
So I kept it to a minimum.
Okay.
You're welcome, everybody.
Yeah. So, how you doing there, Alison Bedell?
I'm doing okay.
Just okay?
Yeah, I could be doing better. A lot of crap going on at work that I'll get
work
into.
Stuff.
It's just ridiculousness. Good news, though. Good news.
I always like good news.
I confirmed with my former partner. We're just going to leave her as Officer X.
Oh, Officer X. That mysterious.
Yes, that she will be participating in our next podcast.
Oh, that's going to be good. You guys are going to like this because she is a trip.
Yeah, and we have lots of stories. She's got a lot of stories. And
you guys were out in the field together for a while, right?
Yeah.
Like for a few years, and that was like back in the day when you were out there, like, you know, in the unmarks and kicking doors and, you know, serving warrants and all that stuff.
Yeah, so we were reminiscing a couple of days ago when I saw her, so I invited her to come on so that we could talk. Because every time we sit and talk about the stories, you know, like we'll say, "Oh, remember when?" And she's like, "I was just telling somebody that story." I'm like, "Me too," you know.
Right.
So so she's gonna.
You guys always have great stories. You crack me up when I listen to some of the stuff you guys went through.
Yeah, and you know, and then separately we have so many, but I love, we have so many funny shit. When she started on the job, I was her first partner, so I had like kind of trained her. And so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was there before you.
No. We were both county employees, and then I got, I transferred into that department, and then she got on about maybe 3 years after me.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's fun, you know, when somebody's learning how to do stuff, and then and then once you're like on the same, you know, like once you're confident that you're both doing, you know, what you're doing, you know, it's like you get into these tense situations where because you work so closely together, it's like when there's somebody who's being confrontational, you know, that you're dealing with, it's almost like this mesh, like she knows what I'm going to do and I know what she's going to do.
Right.
And like without even saying it, we know how to like handle somebody because we both know where we're going to be. We've got each other's backs. It's really cool. It's like this camaraderie.
Manhandle somebody.
Yeah, it's just this very cool camaraderie. That,
even though you're not a man, you could manhandle somebody.
You know, we've manhandled.
Whoa.
Yeah, we've had some situations where it was like, oh my God, I can't believe we're alive. I can't believe we got out of that.
You know, it helps that, like, you know, you carry like, you know, 1 million weapons and, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, there's been some times where we've like, we've dealt with dudes like twice as big, you know, like just, and dudes who are just crazy or drunk or, you know what I mean, like where
drugged out or
and you have to like, you know, you want to be able to use your words to make,
especially when you're
down.
going like you're in their element, you're in their environment, you go into their house, you know, and you're banging on the door and like, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you're catching them off guard. You don't know what the hell you're gonna get, you know.
Yeah, it could be very dangerous. People don't really have an appreciation. It could be so dangerous, you know, like especially when you're in somebody else's house and they're feeling that you're invading their privacy and they don't want
Which
you there.
Which you always are.
Yeah.
Like you're there to like search the place.
Yeah.
And, like,
yeah, and they don't want you there and they don't like you, you know, if they're trying to get away with something, that is.
Right.
But yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to her coming over.
That's great.
Yeah.
We've got a couple cool interviews coming up very soon for everybody that you guys are going to love. And we got some cool tips and listener questions today we're going to get to, right?
Yeah, but what is it? It's the day after Easter right now.
It is.
Yeah, so we had Easter dinner yesterday, and so as a result, because your mom is just such a mom's mom, she
is the best, man.
Yeah.
All right, so
we had Easter baskets.
Yeah, we're all there, right? I don't want to even say how old I am, but, you know, I'm fucking old. Mom's making up, like, Easter baskets for everybody, and it was so cool, man. She's just the best.
Yeah, I think last year, when she gave us the baskets, I was like, that's really sweet, but I'm not eating this chocolate, you know.
And you did.
No, last year I didn't. I didn't.
Well, you did last night.
Yeah, and I'm still eating it today.
Easter dinner, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I'm still biting into the chocolate bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't be having that, man.
No,
I'm trying to like stick to my diet and like I'm training hard. The spring is here. I got to fit into my Speedo. Yeah. I'm like, come on.
Well, I was thinking about that too, but I don't know what it is. I think I don't know if it's the depression or if it's, I want to eat, like I'm trying to be good, but I also have been having cravings, because I feel like with feeling depression, I also, I want to take advantage of any little thing even that makes me feel happy, even for like a minute, right. So I'll eat that chocolate.
I have a little thing that usually makes you feel happy for about 2 minutes.
A little thing.
My little thing makes you feel happy for a minute and a half anyway.
Yeah.
I think I'm up to almost 2 minutes.
Oh my God. Speaking of which, I have to give props. I told her I'd give props. Emily Morse. She is the host of Sex with Emily podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And she and I have been corresponding in email, and we have missed out on a couple of occasions that she was going to have us on her show. But then when we were out in California, she was away. So she's still waiting for us to go back out there to and coincide with when she's there and be on the show. But in the meanwhile, she very kindly sent me The Womanizer.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody's heard me talk about it before, but I told Emily that I would give it props, as I will, because she was so kind as to send it to me. And I'm not just saying this because she sent it to me. I'm saying it because it works. In those 2 minutes that Skip lasts, I was done about a minute before him. Let's just put it like that.
Listen, it's a little longer than 2 minutes, I think. I don't know.
Not for me.
That thing is
it's a magic wand.
It's pretty cool. It's like some additional external stimulation.
Yeah, and it works, and it's just very different than anything you've ever used, ladies. But if you're a dude and you need to buy this for your woman because she will appreciate it and thank you. And that is an awesome gift. She'll never see it coming.
Yeah, some guys might feel intimidated by things like that, but this is not like something that's like it's not an internal thing; it's an external thing.
Totally,
and it's actually a pretty cool addition to the whole experience.
Yeah.
So, and I can tell you one thing that it seems to really work.
Yeah, it works. It works so quickly to the point where I'm like, "Are you done yet?"
I know, because you're done in like 8 seconds. I'm like, whoa, what?
Hurry up! I'm drying up.
See, now typically I much prefer that to have you to do that first. Obviously, because then because if it happens the other way around, then it's like and you don't, then. All right. Well, sometimes it's like we're not going to keep going. So
I don't care if I don't
care. We'll have to go for round 2.
Yeah.
Like I got a what is it, like an IOU?
Yes.
I'll get you later.
Yeah. Yeah. I always get you later. It's okay.
Yeah.
But so it's called The Womanizer, and it is not cheap. It's not ridiculously expensive, but I'll tell you this: when you buy. And I'm sure everybody has in the past, because sometimes some sex toys can be expensive. So sometimes you try to cheap out and get a less expensive one so you can have something. And ultimately it always breaks, right? It's like sometimes, like if there's a battery in it and it's a vibrating thing and it's made out of plastic, eventually like a piece breaks off. How many pocket rockets have I gotten already, right? Like they always fucking break, like where the twist joint is.
Well, you're pretty hard on these things. I mean, you pretty much like smash them into your.
Okay, well, anyway, so what you get what you pay for is what was my point. And so while it may cost a bit more than you would expect to spend on a toy, it actually works very well. And if you use it for the next, say, 40 years, wouldn't you say it was worth it?
Well, I don't know about 40 years. Does anything last for 40 years?
I think that it would. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. If you keep it clean and you don't throw it on the ground.
Well, I mean, yeah, clean goes without saying, but I mean, like, it has a motor inside of it, it has internal working parts. That,
40 years, just go with it.
Yeah.
Come on.
If you get a couple of years out of it, I'd say that's really good.
No, I'm sure you're going to get more than a couple, because I've had shitty stuff that lasts more than a couple of years.
The thing is, it seems like it's built well. And it definitely works.
Yeah, it's definitely built well. It's not a cheap, crappy thing. It's a good quality. It comes in this case. Oh my God, right? It's like a suitcase that it comes in, like this little.
I like tools with cases.
Yes!
By the way, you notice every tool that I have in my work truck and my trailer, and that I use for all my construction jobs, I always get the tool that comes with the case.
Yeah.
So if there is like a particular brand of tool I'm buying, DeWalt or Bosch or Makita or whatever, and they offer a tool. Sometimes they'll offer it like a little less money without the case. I always get the case. You gotta have the hard.
You gotta put it somewhere.
The hard case, like, not just like the soft duffel bag that the tools come in. You gotta have a hard case. So it's funny because this thing you're talking about, it has like a little like hard case that zips up. That was what has impressed me the most of the whole thing. I mean, it works well, but I mean, it came with a case.
And it's got that foam inside of it
guys.
That's cut to the shape of the thing. So it's like, it's got this little mesh pocket inside. You slip it into the mesh pocket inside of the hard case. It's got this foam that like keeps it protected, and it's like it's very well made and protected.
Yeah. But you hit the nail right on the head before that. You get what you pay for in anything, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, especially when it comes to stuff that you're going to be using a lot, whether it's tools or like anything that you're going to use in your house or stuff that I use on a job site. And in this case, it's a tool for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tool for me.
Yeah. I have a tool for you, and this is an additional tool.
Yeah. See? There you go. So with that,
I was most impressed with the case.
Yeah, and I'm impressed with what came in the case. So with that being said, Emily, her podcast actually last week got up to number 6 on iTunes.
Wow.
Yeah, she's actually very popular. If you haven't listened to her podcast,
for the listeners?
Sex with Emily. It is a very popular podcast. You can find it on iTunes, and she talks about absolutely everything.
Yeah, when I listened to it, I was like, whoa.
What?
Wait, what?
Yeah, like literally like anything and everything. She takes questions from the listeners, and she talks about how to do anything and everything.
It's entertaining, and it's really informational. It's very educational.
Yeah.
Like, you'll learn some things about yourself that like you didn't really even know that worked.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And she'll have on guests on her show, like people who are either in the sex industry, they'll either work with the toys, selling the stuff, or she's had porn stars on there, and they talk about.
You mean like Rich and Chumley? What?
Porn stars. No, porn stars.
Oh, porn stars.
Yeah.
You mean like in pornos?
Yeah, that was very funny.
I'm just thinking, like, why is Chumley on her podcast? Who's having sex with him?
Anybody, because he's got money. You know how girls are.
She's a nice guy, though, actually.
So,
he's a lot of fun, actually.
So they actually talk about threesomes or swingers and sex parties and BDSM and like how to do anal or like the stuff that guys like. I mean, just like anything you can think of and more is what she talks about. She's been on for years. So you can like go to her website or just go to her podcast. You'll find something that interests you.
Very entertaining.
Yeah. And I'm not getting paid to say any of that. I'm just saying because I've listened to her. So I'm just telling you from my own personal experience that she's got a really interesting podcast. And she sent me The Womanizer, and I could not appreciate it more.
There you go.
So thank you, Emily Morse.
Yeah.
What else? The kitchen. We have some really cool stuff on the way.
Wow. Some really, really cool stuff. We've been getting a lot of people that are participating in this project that want to be part of this thing. So, yeah. Let's bring them up because we haven't gotten that thing yet. It's going to take about 8 weeks to make. It comes from overseas, but it's a handmade copper and bronze, oil rub bronze, hammered metal exhaust hood that's going to go over the range.
This thing is like a statue. It's like a work of art, like you would go to see in a museum.
You're going to hear us talk about this company a lot, and they make all different types of things. But what's their site information?
Copperhoods.com. That's plural with an S at the end. Copperhoods.com. I looked on their website, and they have an amazing selection. But the one that we chose is called the Da Vinci.
Yeah.
So if you happen to want to look at their website and take a peek at the Da Vinci, that's the one that we're getting. It comes in a huge variety of they've got I don't know, 6, 7 different finishes that you can choose from, what type of hammering that you like. If it's like a lot of little heads, a lot of bigger, softer heads.
We're going for an industrial type of look in our kitchen with like a rustic flair to it. A lot of wood. A lot of reclaimed material and
metals.
Bricks and metals and things like that. So it's going to be a very cool combination of elements. And this hood fits right in perfectly, because we're doing a handmade hammered copper sink in our center island, which is going to be that's going to be like the whole focal point of the kitchen. That thing's going to be like a work of art. So, you need something to kind of complement that, but not overpower it. So we found these people. They have an amazing site. You should go and check them out. They really do some incredible work, and I can't wait to get this in.
Oh, my God, I know. I'm super
I can't wait to
stoked.
start taking pictures of it. We're filming the whole process of doing our kitchen project, and I'm looking forward to filming the installation of this thing. 'Cause I've never installed anything like this, and I've done a lot of kitchens in my life, and this is something that I'm really looking forward to getting into, because it's something totally different. All these things are they're pretty much like works of art, you know?
Yeah.
So it's more than just something that it functions as an exhaust hood over your stove. This thing is you just want to sit and stare at it. It's going to be awesome.
I also am very excited because all of the faucets and the toiletry things, like the towel bars, all the things that we had ordered from Moen came in the mail, and I'm really excited. I can't wait to open all of that and get some of those things. We got the brand new kitchen sink faucet and the bathroom faucet.
Moen makes some really high quality fixtures, everything from faucets to shower controls and shower heads, and even accessory stuff like towel bars and paper holders and such cool stuff they have. So we got a lot of different things that were sent over from all the good folks over at Moen. Want to thank them, and they sent us some great stuff.
Yeah,
Wait till you see
they
this.
have a really nice selection of things, and the I can't wait to get this shower head installed, because thank God, because of course we are all about conservation, and I have no problem with conservation. I do have a problem with taking a weak shower, though.
That's the worst.
Yeah, a lot of these new shower heads prevent you from getting enough water so that you actually get the soap out of your hair.
Yeah.
This particular shower head is one that gives you some pressure, so that you feel it. You take in a nice, comfortable shower where you're actually feeling the water.
Yeah, well, in the design of the head, it actually does conserve water. It meets the current efficiency guidelines, but the design of the head and the way the water escapes the shower head allows it to really come out even at a high pressure. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for you to get that all hooked up so that I can have my own bathroom again and not have to look at your little beard hairs.
Me too. I want to get your shit out of there, because you got the whole countertop in the master bathroom is all crapped up with all your makeup and stuff, and it's
only the right side.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
And the left side is all your little beard hairs.
Your stuff is migrating slowly but surely to the other side of the sink.
Every woman that I speak to who has a man with a beard like yours has the same complaint.
It's not just a man with a beard. Anybody who shaves their face. I mean,
okay,
whether they grow a beard
too.
or not,
right?
you shave.
Right, so half the hair is left on the sink. And you're like, oh, I cleaned it. No, you splashed water all over the entire bathroom.
Guys, listening to this, are you feeling me right now? Because we all shave, and I'm sure everybody cleans off the sink, but evidently it's never good enough. And then you tell me, well, but you always leave the sink so wet. Do you know why it's wet? Because I cleaned it.
That's not
because
clean.
I washed all the hairs off the top of the sink, and I also wipe it down too. But it's
you're delusional.
No.
You are. That's not cleaning it. Can't you take the sponge and absorb the wetness that you put all? It looks like we had like a water main break by the time you're done. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you don't see my beard all over the sink, though.
It's behind this. It's behind the faucet. It's like you got shit all over the place.
No. Come on.
Oh, God, speaking of all these home things, it's really soon now. It's only about a week and a half away. April 9th, you're going to be at Hofstra at the Nassau County Home Show. on April 9th. It's a Saturday from 12 to 3.
You guys got to come check out this show. If you're in the New York area, come check us out because it's going to be a great show. They have awesome vendors there, all sorts of things for your home, tons of great local contractors that are all certified, licensed, good quality guys. And of course, I'll be there doing something.
Yeah, well, nobody gives a shit about the other guys. People should come to see you.
Well, they will. They will. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of things to see there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to get tired of talking to me after about 30 seconds. So, I mean, they're going to want to walk around the show and see other things, too. So, you're not just coming there just to see me, but I would like that as well. If you do.
That's what they're going to do because that's why we're telling them.
Yeah.
So they can come and see you because we like meeting everybody. Oh, you know what we did on Friday? Actually, I'm going backwards in time a little bit. We were in the city again. We had gotten a call from a production company that was interested in doing some work with me on some new investigative show ideas that they have.
You're totally, that's your thing. You're so good at what you do, so there's no question. I mean, and a lot of people are very interested in you right now, in addition to the stuff that you do on Catch a Contractor. And let's face it, you're the reason why we have people to yell out because you're the one out there finding these guys, right, and tracking them down. And they're not easy to find, many of them. But, if you think about it, there's really no, strong female personalities that are hosting any crime investigative shows right now, right? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I think that's that's what they like about me is that I have that New York assertive type of personality where, it's, not only am I in law enforcement and an investigator, but I'm sure of myself, and I'm already on TV, so they know that I can.
Easy to look at, too.
Well,
so that's got a little bit to do with it.
I don't know. Whatever it is. I don't know what it is they like about me, quite frankly, but the fact that they're interested is very nice, and I'm going to go with it.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with our show. It's like, with Catch a Contractor, it's like there's no acting involved here, so if they were looking for someone to do an investigative show and get a hot looking chick, they could get one of a million, great looking actresses out there, right? But the thing about you is that you're the real deal. This is what you do every day, right? Which is really what is so awesome about our show with Catch a Contractor is that it's so authentic. This is we don't have to stretch. We're doing what we do.
Yeah, I know. It's like people are like, "Oh, you were good on the show," and I'm like, I didn't do anything, It's just like I'm just me. That's all.
Do.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. That's why it's it's so easy. It's like some people are very conscious of the cameras and we're not, and I think that's what makes it so easy for us. It's so weird because it feels while we're doing it as if it's nothing, and it's not like a big deal, but then when we're making the show, it's a whole other life, though. It's so different than what we experience here. It's not just like getting behind the camera, we're filming something and see you later. It's like there's a whole experience that goes along with making the show, from getting there and having a trailer for the first time, having PAs that are bringing you, asking you what do you want to eat, or you get into the trailer in the morning and there's a hot pot of coffee waiting there for you, plus all of the condiments that you particularly
like. We're very lucky.
like.
We have an awesome crew. I know, it's kind of weird. When I get back from California, when I'm back doing jobs here, I'm
like, where's my PA?
Yeah, where's
my coffee?
Where's the dude that's following me around with a cup of coffee? And where's the chick that's brushing my hair?
Yeah, I get to work and nobody's holding a spot for me. Nobody's holding the spot and then waving me in when I get there.
Yeah.
What? Where's my guy?
Parking spots are coned off, right?
Yes, they cone it off until we get there.
You know what I noticed though too? Today I was doing all this work in the kitchen and I'm doing a bunch of cutting, all sorts of rafters and tons of work with the saw, and I noticed in the middle of the day I was completely covered in sawdust. Now on the set there's someone who follows you around with a little brush and brushes you
and
up.
a clean shirt to put on once your shirt gets too dirty.
Where's the little dude that hey, what happened?
Where's the chick with the fan to put in your armpits when you get a little too sweaty?
Oh my God.
Where's the other chick with the little pad to put inside your shirt by your armpits?
Listen, that's a whole other thing with filming in Southern California is that there are days it's crazy hot. I mean, we filmed in 105, 110 degrees, and it's oh my God. That's heat that we're not used to in New York,
That's make you cranky heat.
Yeah. And then, like, you know, like just the whole experience of like having to do stuff, you know, like, yeah, we forget the cameras are there, but you don't forget that, like, you have makeup on your face because they have to put makeup on you because, like, you know, all the HD cameras and everything. And, you know, you're getting, like, because you're sweating. So, you know, you're getting, like, a shine that shows up on the camera as, like, a white light on your face. And it's really like a reflection from the sweat. So you got somebody following you around all the time, but, like, you know, smashing your face with a powder puff and stuff. And I'm trying to build something, or I'm yelling at some, you know, idiot contractor that, you know, is pissing me off. And then I got the chick coming over like, stop everything. He's got a little shiny spot. And she's smashing me in the face with a powder puff. I'm like, really? Really? I'm in the middle of, like, you know, screaming at some guy. We're building a porch or whatever we're doing. There's lumber and saws and dust and everything flying. And, like, stop the cameras. The powder puff hits you in the face.
Well, because it looks gross too. Nobody wants to see you like dripping sweat down your face either. It's
but you know, it's like stuff that, like, you're right. It's like things that, like, you know, when we're back doing the same thing here, you know, in New York without the whole crew, it's like it's an adjustment, right?
Yo, totally.
Yeah.
When oh my God, I'll never forget this. It was episode 2, season 1. It was the Avi episode, and they were having lunch, and we had already filmed the pilot months before.
What I should do?
What I should do?
You want I should work for no money?
Wait a minute. Yeah. Oh God. So that was Avi. If you guys haven't seen episode 2, he was like, they had to actually cut out some of his, because he was just repeating himself so much.
Such a character, that guy.
Oh my God. So anyway, we had already filmed the pilot, and we'd already had experience like having lunch with everybody, but that was like only a week, I think, we took to make the pilot. But when we were filming the episode 2, I remember we were in the Sting house, and we were asking, like, what were they going to have for lunch? And it was something like all pasta. Right. And I was like, oh, so you and I are having like a private conversation. I'm like, well, tell me what you want. Like, I'll go get us some chicken. I was going to run out to another place and get us some chicken.
Meanwhile, they cater in lunch like every day. You know, they got like a whole setup that, you know, they come with a tent and tables and everybody sits and we eat
that's
lunch.
What they do is they have a tent,
it's like a buffet,
and folding chairs and the folding tables, and they have it in a van that comes along with the crew and all the other camera equipment every day. So that's part of what they're transporting back and forth. So every day around noontime, they break out the tent, they break out the tables and chairs, and then they set up a buffet. Right. So they were going to have some pasta, and I was going to go get you some food, and we're talking about it. And DJ, who is the executive producer on the show, overheard us, and he was like, you know, like, well, what do you want? What do you guys, you know, like, what is it that you want? And we said, well, we like to eat healthier, you know, like we usually do like chicken or something or salads. And he's like, no problem. He's like, you know, you'll get, okay, every day. You know, he's like, whatever you guys want. So it wasn't that they just changed the lunch that they were getting for everybody every day. They actually special ordered stuff for us every day. It was like, whatever you want. And it's like, what?
Yeah, you know, they were very, very, very accommodating, always on the show. And, you know, let's face it, we spend a lot of time with the crew, and every day we're filming in a different place, different locations. It's not like, you know, we're going to sit down in a restaurant. Like, they have to make the eating environment wherever we are. And, you know, it's always different. It's like a traveling road show, you know, so... but they always manage to bring in some really nice stuff for us. And you're right, especially once we kind of let them know that, like, you know, we want to try to eat healthy. And it's hard because, like, I notice when I go out each season and, you know, we're there for 3 or 4 months or whatever filming the show, I get there and I'm like, I'm a certain weight, you know, and then, like, my weight changes as I'm there because when I'm here, I can control what I eat.
Yeah.
I control when I'm in the gym. I control my schedule. And when we're filming the show, of course, all of that stuff, you know, we have really long days sometimes, and it's basically restaurant food every day.
Yeah.
So no matter how healthy you're eating, when it's restaurant food, there's always a lot of salt and everything. There's a lot of, like, oil. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, so it's kind of hard to maintain.
Yeah. Well, what's very cool is that they're willing to accommodate us like that, and it's like we come home, like we're home and we're like nobody, and then we fly across the country and start filming something like the next day, and they're like, what can I get you?
Yeah.
Like, what? It's such a mind fuck that it's like Like, and you're referred to as the talent. The people who are on a TV show are called the talent. And I'm like, talent? I don't got no talent. Like, what the fuck you talking?
Actually, you have some very special talent skills that.
Yeah. So anyway, I remember when we were filming the pilot. Actually, I was at some point walking down the street. Like from, like where the people's house down to our car or something. And I started talking to some of the guys in the crew, like saying something to them as I'm walking past, and like nobody was really talking back to me. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like nobody's really talking to me. And somebody told me afterwards, like, yeah, like, they're not supposed to really be like talking to the talent, like while they're working, like, I was like, what? Like,
yeah, but that was like season 1. Like,
I know, but
first half of the season.
It's such an adjustment.
We got really, we got pretty friendly with our crew.
So anyway, I don't know what's going to come out of that meeting in the city, but
good things are going to come.
They look like they're trying really, really hard to come up with good ideas that will make me sign with them. So I don't know.
I think the bottom line is that we got some really cool stuff in the works that you guys are going to be hearing about real soon. Mm-hmm. And of course, we can't say anything until everything kind of unfolds.
Yeah, I hate keeping things under wraps because I want to like share everything that's going on because there's a lot to tell. Yeah. And I love talking about all the stuff like that with what goes on like with when we're making this show because it's like we're just these two fucking nobodies that all of a sudden got dropped into this
thing. You
can
speak for yourself. I'm somebody.
You know what I mean? But like nobody knew who we were. We were like, you know what I mean?
Around. I'm somebody.
You're somebody to me. You're everything to me. But my point is that, like we go from like regular people next door to all of a sudden people like bringing us our beverages and asking us what we want to eat. And then, oh my God, do you remember this? When lunchtime starts and they've got the whole thing set up, people won't go and form a line until we go straight to the front of the line. The talent always goes to the front of the line, which is really weird and uncomfortable when they first tell you to do that.
Yeah, it's a little strange because you feel like, okay, well, let's all eat together. But like the other thing is that we're always the first ones to get back to doing stuff. So I think that they want to get us fed and get us back on the set. So
I think they want us to have first dibs on all the fresh trays of food. And because we're the talent, as is any talent on any show, they don't want you getting where the tray is empty at the end. And then, like, you get these fucking people like Matthew McConaughey, like, what the fuck? Where's the chicken?
Yeah, Matt might get upset about that.
Yeah, we wouldn't want Matt to run out of chicken.
Yeah. Very cool experience, though.
Yeah, so much more to tell. I want to get into that.
There's a lot of cool stuff we got to tell you guys about that's in the works right now, and you're going to be hearing about it soon.
Stuff to tell.
Mm-hmm.
We have some questions from listeners that we had put off about a week because we ran out of time, and then we had the that fucking fucked up podcast episode that we had to re-record.
Oh yeah.
So
2.0.
2.0, motherfuckers. So here we are again. Now I've got the questions that we missed.
Oh, good.
Okay. So here's some. Wait, are we starting Skip's Tips?
We are.
When helping people with their homes, they call Skip Bedell.
You want to avoid a headache and save money, he's the man to talk to. Skip Bedell.
David Vogel said, what is the best practice for bullnose cornered base, measured points, cut the corners first? Each one of these things has a question mark after it. I don't know if I read it correctly.
Yeah. All right, so what David's referring to, I think, from what he's describing, sounds like a vinyl base molding, which is a base molding that comes either on a roll or in individual pieces that can be glued with a mastic to the wall, and it acts as your base trim molding along your flooring. Typically used in a lot of commercial applications. Some people also use it in their home as well. So, yeah, sometimes it can be tough to cut that stuff. And one thing you can do to kind of limit the number of cuts that you're going to have and seam that is that many times that base will come on a long roll. You might not find it in some of your home stores. You might have to go to a flooring store. But if you're doing a lot of that base, the home stores a lot of times will sell like 4-foot pieces or 4 to 6 foot lengths of it. And then there's going to be a lot of joints on a long wall. And I think that was part of your question there, David, is how do you hide those joints? So if you can avoid having so many joints, it would be great. You can get that stuff on a roll, and it comes in longer lengths, and then you can cut it. And yes, to measure it, you're going to want to cut your corners. And if you're using the separate pieces, cut your corners and then join them in the middle. If you're using the one long roll, you're going to want to measure from point to point, from corner to corner, and cutting on your 40 to 5 degree, your miter cuts on the corners, and then using your mastic with a notch trowel. Now, usually they'll come with like a 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch notch trowel to apply that mastic, and I'm sure you already got that part down if you're working with this stuff right now. But what I like to do if we're using separate pieces is cut the corners first, mount them into the corner, and then I will take one of the pieces that's the factory edge, which is always cut square, and overlap your other piece. And with that overlapping, you can lay the factory edge over your other piece, and then you can take your utility knife and score right down the factory cut, which is always going to be a nice square cut, and it's going to give you a nice tight joint, because you're going to have the one factory cut and then your new cut, and that will be about as tight as you're going to get that joint. And then it's important that when you're gluing that, you want to keep that glue consistent with a notch trowel all the way along the back side of it, so you're not getting any difference in glue from one side to the other. So when you put that joint together, it's going to be flush and it's going to kind of disappear. It can be difficult to make that joint disappear. If you cut it too short, you're going to see a gap between the two. So you want to take your time and just measure properly. But I would advise, if you can find the base that you're working with to come on a roll rather than the individual pieces, you'll have a lot less joints to work with.
He also said, how do you hide the gap of a split in base on a long wall?
Right,
Glue?
that's what I was just mentioning. So the base will come in short pieces, and when you're working on a long wall, you might have to have a joint in the middle. So, yeah. That's the one way to do it. Use the factory edge, overlap the other side of it, and then cut along the factory edge with your utility knife. Use that as a line to score.
A utility knife is awesome.
Yeah. It's probably the most used tool in anybody's tool belt. You can use it for just about cutting everything.
Okay.
All right. What do we got?
Davey H. on Twitter said, how do you stop mold buildup above the shower? Not sure if it is, but it turns the area above the shower dark.
Okay, so you're probably getting an excess of moisture in the shower, which can mean a couple different things. First of all, hopefully you have an exhaust fan in your shower, and which you should be running when you're taking the shower. The other thing is you want to make sure that exhaust fan is actually working well. So many times they're old, if they get clogged up, and they get gacked up with powder and dust and everything else. You have to take down that shroud, the cover on the outside of the fan, and clean the inside of that fan motor. Get up there with a vacuum and clean it, because if it's not exhausting the steam out of your shower, you're going to get a lot of moisture building up toward the top of the room and collecting around the ceiling, and eventually that's going to start to work with mildew and mold on your paint. So if you're getting dark spots over your shower, you can clean that with a bathroom cleaner that has a mild bleach solution in it, or you can even make up your own in a spray bottle, with just like 1 part bleach and a few parts water, just to dilute it down, and spray the ceiling. You can wipe that off with a sponge. If it does come off easily, chances are you just have some mild mildew on the ceiling. If not, you might have something else going on the upside of that ceiling. I don't know if this is a first floor or second floor bathroom, but typically, let's say it's a first floor, typically your bathrooms are going to be over each other, so the plumbing's running down the same wall. You might even have a leak coming from the bathroom above it, if in fact there is one above it. If it's on a second story, you might want to consider looking in to see if you have a roof leak, because if you're getting water collecting on the other side of the drywall of the ceiling, that will also cause a mold and mildew problem for you. But the one way to make sure that you're getting all of that steam out of the room is to run your exhaust fan. Usually, if you can, leave it on for 10, 15 minutes after your shower. A lot of people get out of the shower, they leave it on for a minute and shut it off, and the steam stays in the room. I always recommend people to run that the exhaust fan at least 15 minutes if you can. Now, they also make switches. I talked about this on a prior podcast. They make switches that are a timer switch that you can replace the exhaust fan switch with a timer, and that'll actually run the exhaust fan for a measured length of time. So that's something you might want to consider too. But if you're getting the steam out of the room, you shouldn't be having that problem. So check into your fan, make sure it's clean, and that you're getting all that out of the room properly.
You also like to call that the fart fan.
I do, yeah. Well, I use it mostly for that. Because That happens a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Steve Bastion on Twitter said that he's building a room in his basement, but he has low ceilings. Any recommendations?
Yeah.
My recommendation is to wear flat shoes.
Yeah, you might not want to wear heels down there, Steve. Want to bang your head on the ceiling. All right, this is a problem that exists in a lot of basements. They have a low ceiling, typically with older homes as well. Many of the basements back then were considered more of like a cellar. They weren't really ever considered going to be finished. So the consideration of having a full height ceiling was not always like a priority down there. So now with new construction, many times if you have a basement at all in your house, usually they're dug out and they're formed with the concrete foundation. With a full height ceiling. So should you want to finish them later on, you can. And in fact, many of the times they're above 8 foot, and that will allow you to put a drop ceiling down there, which I always recommend to people. To do a acoustic grid and tile ceiling if you can in a basement. Obviously, in your situation, it's going to be hard to do because you don't really have the headroom. That's going to take up more space than just doing drywall on the ceiling because that grid has to hang down a couple of inches to give you some space to get the tiles up in there. But what's nice about that is that allows you to remove those tiles should you ever need to work on the plumbing and electric. All those mechanicals run across the ceiling. So all your waste pipes, all your electric, all your plumbing all runs across the ceiling in the basement to go up to wherever it's going in the rest of the house. So when you drywall a ceiling in a basement, that kind of locks in those things and it makes it hard to access those pipes unless you're putting in access panels. That being said, really the only thing you can do if you're dealing with a low headroom is to get your drywall as close to that ceiling as possible. If in fact that's what if you want to finish that ceiling, and you can fur that out. So many of the pipes that you have along your ceiling, some of them may be drilled through your joists, and some may be clamped to the underside of the joist, which means they're going to be sticking down below the level of the ceiling beams. So you're going to have to fur out that ceiling. Typically, you're going to be using 3/4 or 1 inch or more because you're going to have 3/4 pipes in many cases or 1 inch going across that ceiling, which are leads for the rest of your plumbing and your heating and so on. So you're going to have to get your drywall down below that, and that's going to be cutting down your headroom a little bit as well. That's really the only thing you can do to keep that tight to the ceiling as opposed to doing another type of, softened down, build down ceiling with a grid and tile. You're going to have to get that ceiling material as tight as you can up to the bottom of the joist. Now, I've actually had a client recently, a couple of years ago, that was in a situation like that too, and he wanted to build a movie room and an entertainment room and everything in his basement. He had an older home that had low ceilings in his house, and they actually dug out the slab. They actually chopped out this guy Mike that I worked on his house a couple of years ago. They actually chopped out the slab and they sunk the floor. They dug down below the slab level and they poured a new slab. Down to the footing, they poured, and they were able to get like a foot lower. It was almost like a sunken.
Oh God, that sounds like a freaking job.
It was a lot of work, but it actually looked pretty cool. He was able to put like an entertainment area down in there with a pool table and like a theater space and all that. It's definitely a big job, and I'm sure it's not something that you're going to want to venture into.
That doesn't sound cheap either.
It wasn't, but he's got friends in the concrete business, and they were able to come in and get the job done. But
how convenient.
Yeah, well, there you go. Pays to know people. Yeah, but to get back to your answer, I think you're going to have to just frame that thing up as tight to the ceiling as you can, and
and date short chicks.
Yeah, date short chicks. There you go, and fur it down just as tight to the pipes as you can. Okay.
Thank you for the question. John Braswell had one last week. He said that his house was built in 1957, so it's old wiring with the 2-wire system, no ground. Is there a workaround such as a GFCI receptacle that he could use until he can get the whole house rewired to modern code?
Okay. So many times in homes, people, when you pull out your switches or receptacles and you're going to go replace them, you'll notice that you have old-style receptacles that only have 2 prongs. They don't have the third prong for the ground. Yeah, and that's typical in older construction. You won't see that anymore in new construction because all the codes have changed and everything requires grounds everywhere. In fact, many of them have to either be GFCI or arc fault, depending upon your code and what you're plugging into it. Okay, so to get back to your question, chances are you either have a cloth-wrapped cable, which would look like a modern Romex, which is plastic, vinyl coated interior, electrical cable. But it may be cloth wrapped. So if you're going back to like the 50s and in that range, they were using a lot of cloth wrapped back then. Also, either AC or BX, which is an armor clad cable. I don't know what you have in your house there. It would be helpful if I had a little more information. But what happens when you have an AC, MC, armor coated cable? It looks like it has the metal casing around it, the flexible metal casing, and those are going to be wired into metal boxes. So all of your receptacle boxes, all your light fixture boxes, your switch boxes, everything is going to be a metal box. And what happens is that the ground is carried through the outside metal casing on that cable. So from box to box, the metal armor cable goes up into a clamp, and inside that that metal clamp that holds the armor coating, that's going to actually carry your ground right back to the panel, and then the panel itself is grounded down to an earth grounding or into your plumbing, and so on. So if you don't have armor cable, you probably have a cloth wrapped cable. So chances are then that's going to also be coming into a metal box. And it's very possible that the boxes themselves are grounded. What they did back then, and if you do any sort of demolition on that house and you take out some of the walls, you might just find that from box to box was a separate ground cable. Either aluminum or copper would run from box to box, a very thin diameter, a very thin gauge wire, and they run it outside the studs. And it just connects from box to box to a screw on the back of the metal box. And then that cable goes all the way back to the panel, and the panel itself will be grounded. All the boxes are grounded to the panel. And coming through inside to your receptacle, you're only going to see two cables. You're going to see a common and a neutral, a black and white, going to the back of your receptacle. So it might appear as there isn't a ground, but chances are you could have a ground there. How you can find out is you can go to your local hardware store or any home center and buy a circuit tester. It looks like a plug. You plug it into your receptacle, and it'll have usually 3 or 4 lights on the front of it. It'll test for a neutral, common, and a ground. It'll tell you, if any of those are disconnected, they'll light up. And when you buy the thing, it'll give you instructions on how to work with it. But if you plug that into one of these receptacles in question, it will tell you right away whether or not the box is grounded, because the receptacle itself is screwed to the metal box. So the mounting brackets on the receptacle, they carry the ground to the metal box, which in turn will be carried back to the panel and down into your earth grounding. So that's a great way to check. Now, if you don't have that, and if it turns out you have no ground at all, first of all, that's not really too safe. It's important that you have a ground there for, lightning strikes or any power surges. And of course, if you should come in contact with electricity is always going to find its way back to the earth. It always wants to find its way back to the ground. And that's why we ground electrical systems either to the plumbing or to a ground rod. So if you should come in contact with that electricity, it's going to take the shortest path to get back to the earth. So rather than going through your body and killing you in some cases, it will find the shortest path, which will be the ground wire, and take that electrical charge back to the earth through the ground wire. So if you don't have any sort of grounding from box to box in your house, it's kind of dangerous actually. But also if your house is struck by lightning, that's the other purpose, is that high voltage surge that's going to come through all of your electrical system is not going to blast through your appliances and through your receptacles and into the home. It's going to also follow that ground cable down. So I think what you need to do at this point is determine what you have behind the receptacles. If you in fact have metal boxes, see what kind of wire is coming into those boxes and determine whether or not you have a separate ground. And you can do that by getting a ground circuit tester.
That was a big fucking mouthful.
Yeah, it was. This is important stuff.
Okay.
Now, if you want to get back to me with the answer to that, John, I can then further instruct you, but we need to find out whether, in fact, you have any grounded boxes before we can go forward.
Okay. And that will, if he gets back to us soon, we can answer that on Friday.
Okay.
Eddie Rincon said, how do you stop a toilet from rocking? And then Mark Lofquist chimed in, and should you come knocking when it is?
This toilet's a rocking. Don't bother knocking. Listen, if your toilet is rocking, you definitely don't want to be knocking. It could be a problem. Actually, a rocking toilet can be a problem because that can lead to other problems, with a leak in your toilet seal at the bottom. If the toilet is not mounted firmly down to the tile or whatever you have underneath it, that means that the toilet is moving and eventually will loosen up that seal that you get at the wax seal to the ring to the toilet. So that is something you want to correct. So first of all, you're going to have the 2 bolts coming up through the base of your toilet. The most simplest solution, and what might just be your problem, is that the nuts on those bolts might be loose. So you can take an adjustable wrench or a pair of pliers and check to see if either one or both of those nuts are loose. If they are, you want to tighten them down. But it's important that you don't over-tighten them because you will definitely crack your toilet. You want to snug them up on both sides and first, tighten them down and make sure that, if they are loose, that might solve your problem right there. If not, you might have a problem to where the toilet is sitting on an unlevel tile surface. So if there's a high point somewhere underneath the tile, even if you tighten them down, the toilet is not going to be level. So what you need to do is take a small level, like a torpedo level, put it along the floor on all sides around your toilet and see if the floor actually is level. If it's not, you might need to shim the toilet. All right, so first of all, determine whether or not you have any high points or parts of your floor that are not level, and if the toilet is rocking on that. And then what you might need to do, if your bolts are snug down to the top of the toilet base and you're still getting a rocking, you might need to put a shim underneath that. So you can get plastic shims. They sell them in the hardware stores or, right in your, like in the molding aisle, wherever they sell door shims. Instead of putting a wood shim underneath that, which obviously if it gets exposed to water is going to rot, you can get a plastic, or it's like a composite shim. It's made up of like little plastic pieces and wood chips and whatnot.
Who knew?
So you can shim up that high point, or the low point actually, underneath the floor, which will keep the toilet from rocking. Now, the other thing you want to do after you're done with all of that, obviously cut the shim off that's sticking out past the toilet. Stick it in until it gets tight, and then you want to cut that off with a utility knife so it's actually inside the level of the base. You don't want it to stick out past the toilet. And then take a nice bead of 100% silicone and run it all the way around all sides of the toilet and wipe it clean. Do a nice, neat job. Take your time. But that silicone, if you pump the silicone in underneath the toilet or the gap all the way around the whole base, when that sets up, that'll also keep the toilet from moving back and forth. And it'll give it a nice tight seal under there as well.
Okay.
There you go.
We do have some more questions that I'm going to get to in a second. I just wanted to interject and remind everybody that on our website, hammerandnailspodcast.com, that's where you can listen to all of our episodes. They will always be there, even if for some strange reason you can't find us on iTunes or anywhere else, although we should be there. We're always on our website, hammerandnailspodcast.com. And on that page is also an Amazon link that you can use if you are going to be shopping at Amazon. We really appreciate if you guys would bookmark that link and that banner that we have on our website and just use our link, because that helps us out a lot, because we use that towards the costs of the podcast. Because uploading all this broadband, all that business costs a lot of money.
All that business.
Yeah, and there's also a PayPal subscribe button. Even though our podcast is free, if you guys are enjoying it, we would love if you guys would want to make a contribution towards it, either weekly or monthly, so that we can also put that towards the costs of the podcast. And
we definitely want to say thank you to all the people that have been contributing too.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate it. Some people are showing support, some people are showing love, and we always love the love. So thanks so much.
Yeah,
for
we
that,
appreciate
guys.
that, because we're not making any money doing this, but it does cost money.
We do it because we love you and it's fun.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely that. Yes. So next question.
I love like interacting with everybody that watches our show.
I do too. You guys also go to
Facebook. It's a great
Facebook.
opportunity to kind of just kind of interact with people and help them out with projects they might have or whatever.
Yeah, if you guys are listening, I mean, I see from the numbers how many listeners we have, and there's a lot more listeners than there are questions that are coming for us to talk about. So if you guys haven't communicated with us yet, as you see, we respond and we acknowledge everybody. And if you guys got questions, anything, even if it's not home improvement related, if it's love life related or anything else.
Love life.
If your best friend's being a dick, you can ask us about that. Anything. If you're having trouble deciding what color car to get, you can even ask us about that.
We get some of the strangest questions. People ask us all kinds of things. But, of course, if we have the answer, we're happy to give it to you. And if we don't, I'll find out.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, so, we really, this is only possible because of you guys. Without the listeners, there is no podcast. So if you guys would be so kind as to hit us up on Facebook or Twitter and let us know your questions so that we can also address those in addition to all the other bullshit that we talk about.
Hit us up. What else you got there, Whitey?
So Jim Tharp said that the house he bought has no metal flashing on the roof's edge. How important is it to have, and if he needs it, can he just put it on by sliding it under the shingles?
Okay, yes, it is important to have a flashing at the edge of your roof. That is because water can get underneath the shingles, especially if you're living in a cold area and you're going to get any ice damming at the bottom of your roof. Water can back up and ice can back up underneath the shingles and actually move backwards up the roof. So when that water gets up there, it can get behind your fascia boards and rot out your sheathing on your roof. It can rot out your fascia boards, get down into the soffits, and it can do some damage. So yeah, that flashing at the bottom, if you don't have any rain gutters, you might want to look into getting a drip edge, which is basically looks like an L-shaped piece of metal. Usually it comes in aluminum or some sort of coated steel. And you can slide that up underneath it. You can buy it in your home stores. Usually comes like in 10-foot lengths or 12-foot lengths. And you can slide that up underneath your shingles and up underneath the starter shingles as well. Get it underneath everything. If you can get it down to the sheathing, that would be great. So if any water gets behind the shingles or gets underneath the underlayment, it'll hit onto that flashing and come back down toward the outside of the house. It'll hit the drip edge, which kind of flares away from the house, and it allows the water to drip off that piece of metal and not run down your fascia boards. Now, if you have rain gutters on the house, you can also put that where it dumps into the rain gutter. So if any water gets up back underneath the shingles, it will hit that flashing and run down into the rain gutter rather than getting behind the gutter and doing damage to your fascia boards. Eventually, you'll have to wind up replacing them. And we see that a lot. Many times when we're doing roofs, the fascia boards all have to be replaced because they were not installed properly. When whoever did the roof prior, they never did any sort of like ice and water shield or any flashing at the bottom of the roof. So that can definitely cause damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have it in you to answer another question?
I do, yeah.
Just came in. It's hot off the presses.
Hot off the press.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Len Riojas. He said he wants to know where you stand on gluing wood and how you feel about the different adhesives, tight bond, Gorilla Glue, epoxy, and whether or not to clamp. He's heard that over-clamping can squeeze all the glue out, defeating the entire purpose of gluing, and that bungees can be more effective. Also, he's of the opinion that two-part adhesives, the epoxies, are always more effective than single-part adhesives. It's more expensive, but he thinks that it's a better bond. He'd like to know what you think.
Two-part epoxies are always going to be a good bet. They make an incredible bond. They get very, very hard, and they're extremely durable. As far as clamping, I like to use clamping if we're doing woodworking projects and you want to keep that joint tight together. Clamping is always a great way to do it. But yes, of course, if you're putting your glue in first, you don't want to over clamp and have all the glue get smashed out. So it's going to be clamped tight enough to where you're going to make your joint close, but not so tight that you're actually compressing the joint and is taking it out of shape.
That's
and you'll know.
Medium.
Yeah, what's that?
Happy medium.
It's a happy medium. Now, as far as Gorilla Glue, I've had really good experiences with Gorilla Glue. You need to apply water when you're using that glue if you read the instructions. But that stuff actually bonds up really great. It will expand a little bit once it's setting up. So you have to expect that. And you're also going to want to make sure that you use clamps with Gorilla Glue because of the expanding, it will push your joint apart. So... and then, a lot of woodworking projects, we even just use wood glue, like carpenter's glue. Elmer's makes a great product that works really well. I've been using it for years. I happen to really like it. You will need to use clamps with that as well. So the epoxy you can't go wrong with, though. I mean, it gets super hard. It's a little more work, and yes, it's a little more money. But if you can afford it and you got the time to mix it up, you can never go wrong with a good epoxy adhesive.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got here? All right. Well, I'm I'm just looking at my notes here, stuff I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna wait till the next episode. I'm interviewing a guy tomorrow at work.
Yeah.
It's another one that's just, I could tell it's gonna piss me the fuck off. Okay.
Everybody pisses you.
Yeah. This particular guy who I'm going to be interviewing tomorrow, he's in jail right now. He's also on parole because he had been convicted in 2011 of weapons possession. What had happened was he was at a funeral for some gang member. He gets into a fight with somebody who got the better of him. So then this guy then runs to his car, opens up the hood and takes out the gun he has hidden in there and starts and points it at the guy. But now there are undercover detectives who are there as well, who make their appearance known and face off with this guy, tell him to drop his weapon, to which he did not, and pointed it at the police. And then at some point, he dropped it and started to run. So
when he pointed the gun at the police, they didn't shoot him?
Nope.
Wow.
Yep. So
that's a second lease on life.
Sure is. So he gets convicted of the crime. He got sentenced to 3 big years for pointing a gun at the police.
Wow.
Yeah. But, of course he didn't serve 3 years. He was out on parole in a year after he pointed the gun at the police, just so he can go and commit more crime. Uh-huh. And then he got put back in prison, and again he got released on parole, and then he went and committed more crime.
So this is someone you're going to be interviewing tomorrow.
Yeah. So, again...
So we can look forward to hearing about this on the next podcast,
yeah,
for sure.
I'm just disgusted that he was even given such a short sentence, and on top of that, released on parole. How the hell do you point a gun at police and then you get out on parole in a year? That's not teaching anybody a lesson.
Well, you're talking about the next big show idea for you coming up, an investigation and crime and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I think these are some of the things that, we should definitely be getting into and you should be talking about on your show.
Yeah. And if you guys got show ideas for me, feel free to send me a direct message or something on Facebook. I'm all ears. Yeah, Let's see what kind of ideas people come up with.
There's some really good shows in development right now that are being pitched to you that I think, one of these things are going to be happening real soon. And I'm excited for you.
Something animal related.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. Can't give too much information, but...
No.
Yeah.
But
you'll be hearing about it soon.
Yeah. So... Wow.
I got a couple good products.
Do?
Yeah, I do.
Right.
I want to recommend something. Everyone's doing stuff outside now. We're starting to move back outdoors and get back into our patios and our decks and barbecuing and all that stuff. So anything that can make that whole time a better experience is good. And I've been looking at all sorts of cool products that, one of which I want to recommend. So this is a rain-tight plug, and it's the first Apple HomeKit enabled product that lets you remotely control, monitor, and schedule the operation of any outdoor electrical devices. So you can plug things into this module like outdoor lights, anything that you have going on outside, and you can control it with your smartphone or from your computer. So it works out really. It's all weatherproof. And this includes holiday lights, spotlights, water fountains, anything that you got going outside. It works with a smartphone app or voice commands to Siri. And dual receptacles allow the user to control 2 products simultaneously. $79, this 2-plug device will work off your smartphone. If you go to idevicesync.com, it's IDEVICE sync.com. You can check these things out. You can get them for anything that you have going on outside, and it works out really cool. Because if you want to walk outside, and you want to turn on your pond, all you got to do is say, Siri, turn on the pond. Or Siri, turn on the yard lights, or Siri, turn off the lights, whatever. You're not running around and hitting all sorts of outdoor switches and everything else.
Yeah, because we got that business going on in the backyard, too.
We do, yeah.
And,
when I wired up the whole backyard, we have tons of outdoor lighting and pond and waterfall and all kind of stuff. And if I had known if this existed a few years back when we did all that stuff, I would have integrated some sort of iPhone, controlled module. I could still do it now. I could still, integrate this into that stuff, which I'm really considering doing because this is a really cool thing to have. Yeah. Even if you're away, you can operate your lights or anything that is going on outside. Yeah. So it's a very cool thing to have. Another product I want to recommend to you guys is something called the CoolBox Toolbox. It's by a company called CoolBox. So what makes it so cool? The onboard battery. For one, it charges the wireless devices or your power, anything you want to plug into your phones or anything that you're working. It charges everything up right in the toolbox. It's got LED floodlights, a digital clock, a marine-grade Bluetooth speakers that are built into this thing. So, first of all, it's a big toolbox. It has a handle that pulls out and it's on wheels, so you can kind of pull this in like a piece of luggage.
Yeah.
But it's got so many cool things in it. I mean, it's got Bluetooth speakers. It's got a whole charging system. It's got floodlights. It even has a dry erase board that's inside the lid of the box. So if you want to write, things that you're going to do in your projects or notes on things that you need from materials or whatever, right inside the top of the toolbox, it's got a little dry erase board, which I think is really cool. It has a 10-foot power cord with a 3-way splitter. So it has its own power cord. When you plug this thing in, you now can plug in 3 other tools into your toolbox. So you plug this cord into, your nearby electrical receptacle, and now you can plug 3 tools into the toolbox. So it's like a power strip built into it. It has 1,800 cubic inches of storage capacity, so it's a pretty big box, and you can roll it around like a piece of luggage. It's $199. You can go to coolbox.io or coolbox.com and check it out. It's actually a really cool box. You guys be working on job sites or anything around the house. It's a great thing to have in the garage, too.
Cool.
There you go. Cool box. Toolbox.
So, actually on our website, when you go to hammerandnailspodcast.com, that's the podcast player, but if you go up to the top menu there and you click on Hammer and Nails Podcast, you're going to see a drop-down menu, and you're going to see the individual episodes where you can get the summary for each episode. If you click on that, I'm going to put a link to the stuff that Skip talked about, and a link if you guys want to check out the Womanizer. That's very cool. You will not be disappointed. I actually had one of our listeners send me a private message on Facebook to tell me about how great the Womanizer is and how his wife just loves it. And
wow.
And I was surprised. Wasn't expecting a dude to write to me to tell me how great the Womanizer was.
Listen, I got to tell you, as I was trying to say earlier, guys sometimes can get intimidated by women's sex toys and things like that. This is not something that's like going to take the place of you guys. This is something that's going to enhance the whole experience. And I have to tell you, it works really good.
Yeah. It works good.
Yeah.
I'm going to back them up on that.
You're going to make your ladies, your girlfriends, your wives very happy if you go and get one of these things. I can promise you right now.
Yes. Yes.
And that's my Skip's tip of the day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, God. You know what I haven't done in a really long time?
What's that?
I haven't done random thoughts. And I was saying to myself, why haven't I done any random thoughts? You know why?
Why?
Because I haven't had any random thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've got one. If you want to hear my random thought.
I do.
All right.
They're just random thoughts that go through my head.
Alison's brain is working overtime. Could be while she's driving or standing in line. So what is she thinking? What goes through her thoughts? Is it something profound or fucking just pissed her off? You ready for random thoughts? You ready for random thoughts?
How come when I hit unsubscribe at the bottom of an annoying email so that I don't get any more future emails, they respond to me by sending me an email telling me that they're not going to send me any more email?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Do you know that my phone is completely flooded with junk email? Oh, that's why I don't even want to give anybody my email address anymore, because it's like I'm so overwhelmed. I could spend the entire morning just deleting junk email.
I know. And then I started to unsubscribe from things, and they still send me email and then you get the ones where when you click on unsubscribe and it takes you to a web page. Sometimes you'll get the web page that says, thank you, you're removed from our list. But sometimes you get sent to a page that says, tell us why you don't want to be with us anymore. And type in your email address again to confirm that you don't want to be on the... I don't want to type anything.
Right.
I pressed the button.
Right. I just want
to
unsubscribe.
Yes. I touched the button.
It's built right into the name. Unsubscribe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
I know. It's like people are such
just
idiots.
do what you say you're going to do and unsubscribe me. Right now.
Seriously.
I get like classmates.com sends me stuff like every day. And it's like, it's time for you to like upgrade. And like they keep wanting me to buy. I'm like, I stopped buying.
It's like, Classmates, have you seen Facebook lately?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you guys use the internet?
What was the other one that everybody had? MySpace? Like,
Yeah. Like,
it's like, yeah. No, but I get emails. Actually, I think some of your stuff bleeds over to mine because we share like the same account. So it's like I get like, you know, the shopper stuff and like, you know, these like salon spa things. And I'm like, no, I don't want a mani-pedi. No, get the fuck, stop, send it. No. Wax my nut bag. No.
You can always get me the mani-pedi.
God, unsubscribe.
But don't unsubscribe us. We want you to subscribe.
Exactly.
You know what would be really cool? If you guys have iTunes, you should go there and please click to subscribe, because that way you're going to get our episodes just dumped right into your iTunes automatically. You don't have to look for it. It's just going to be there waiting for you if you haven't listened to it yet.
Did we set up the subscribe button on the webpage?
You know what? I have Amanda working on that right now, actually. So that you can subscribe right from our website.
It's going to make it really easy.
Yeah,
so you don't have
that's
to
for those Android
log
listeners.
into iTunes, and if you have an Android, right?
Yeah, no, it's for the Android, because people with iTunes can just do it from the podcast app. Right. But if you don't have an iPhone and the podcast app, you're an Android, or you might be on your desktop computer. Right. There's this thing called an RSS feed. If you go to Google and you type in Hammer and Nails Podcast RSS, it's going to take you to a website with the RSS feed for our podcast. And there's a button on there that says you can subscribe. In addition to that, I'm working right now on getting it easy on our website so you can automatically get it if you have an Android phone or the desktop.
Yeah, you'll be able to get it right from the podcast player on our website. You just click the subscribe button. That's very soon coming.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, tell your friends about the podcast. Spread the love of Hammer and Nails.
That's
podcast.
the only way. That's the only way that we can grow. If you guys have friends that like Tip Tuesday, that kind of a thing, if they're fans of Ace on the House, you might want to tell them about Tip Tuesday, because Skip's got the tips.
Yeah, I do. I do, and I'm happy to take your questions, and I'll give you whatever tips I can give. So be sure to check us out on Facebook and Twitter every week and give us your questions, and we'll be getting back to you on Tip Tuesday.
Tip Tuesday!
And don't forget about the Amazon link. Please use that if you're going to shop at Amazon, and also check out that PayPal button on our website. We really appreciate it, and don't forget that we love you.
Guys, thanks for coming back. We'll check you next time.
Later.